Hello and welcome to Crafting Unscripted with Katherine, myself from Katherine Learn Stuff. So today is just before not Thanksgiving. Wow, I'm in a little bit of time warp. No, it's just the day before Valentine's Day, and I'm done with Valentine's Day. So I finished all my Valentine's crafts and we're moving on. But I wanted to say, yay, we got 1,000 subscribers last week. So we've made the next milestone in the YouTube world. So thank you everyone for joining my YouTube subscription channel. And I have no fireworks because I didn't have a chance to make fireworks to put on the display here today because we had a big snowstorm last night and we got just over, I'd say about 1.5 feet of snow. So I've been trying to dig myself out all morning. And so if my face looks kind of weird and red, that's why. So I apologize. Good morning or good afternoon to Jen and Barbara. Thanks for joining me live today. It's just been like a crazy week over here, so lots of snow, so I've just been like digging and digging, but I'm happy to say that my plan, if you've been paying attention to my newsletter, I come up with a plan on how to make everything sort of streamlined on the website and on the YouTube channel. So as of this week, everything is going to be lining up perfectly. So I'm going to have my new video comes out every Friday morning and my new blog post comes out every Friday morning, and that's now finally all worked out. The machine is a little churning away, and so tomorrow morning my next video will drop. It is the tissue paper flowers. So if you remember a few weeks ago on my first Crafting Unscripted, we tried to make tissue paper flowers, which was a complete debacle. It took a lot of like playing with and fiddling with afterwards to get it to work, but I finally got it to work. I made a whole bunch of nice flowers. So that drops tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, so be sure to check that out. I will drop a link to that in this if you're watching the replay for this. So let's do the official logo. All right, so we are Crafting Unscripted. So today, I'm going to call it a two-part series. Maybe it'll be a two-part series. This is part one because I don't have time to do both of them just because I'm doing this live and I don't want to be more than half an hour. But today I am going to teach you how to quickly make an envelope. Oh, I know that sounds silly, but I made a whole bunch of cards a few weeks ago, and the link is below for how to do that in the description of this video. We did that in one of the Crafting Unscripted sessions, but I've also got another link for different types of cards. And I made a whole bunch of envelopes for those cards afterwards because I needed to start giving out cards, obviously. But I've had some birthday invitations I had to send out and some other things for different cards, and now I'm in envelopes again. So I thought I've had some requests for envelopes. So today we're going to do envelopes with our Cricuts. And then next week, if I remember and I don't have something else more pressing, we're going to do envelopes without the Cricut. So just kind of like a two-part series. Let's pretend, right? So the first thing that we're going to do is have a sip of my tea because I've got my tea again. And for anyone that's wondering, I'm still sick. I don't know why. I feel like I'm just like sick, better, and it's like this cycle. So we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to move over to my computer and I'm going to try to make sure this all works. But bear with me because I had to make some modifications here to get this to work. So hopefully everybody can still hear me. And I gotta find my thing here. Okay, so I'm in Cricut Design Space here. Just bear with me. I haven't figured out how to get a third camera working on my computer here to get this to work. So hopefully this is all working out here. And if you are with me and you can see my screen, let me know, please. And so what I've done is I've just opened Cricut Design Space and I have a new project open, and I'm sorry, I don't have my cursor like highlighted today because the program that I'm using won't let me do that. And so it's a little bit of a kerfuffle, but we'll get it figured out in time. But I wanted to quickly go over envelopes. Wow, brain fart. Okay, you can see my screen. Perfect. Thank you so much. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go into images. And so I'm going to do in here, I'm going to put envelope. As you can see, I've already used an envelope before. And here on our screen, we're going to have a bunch of different envelopes. Now, the thing that I'm not a huge fan of is that, like you'll see here on this one, it's $1.39. This one's $2.79. Sometimes these are free, sometimes they're not. So like this one here is free today. There's no thing with it. This one is not free today. And so they change, right? So this one's free, not free. And so I never save an envelope because I don't know which one I'm going to need in the future because they're not always free and I don't like to pay for things. So I'm going to select this envelope and I'm going to close my screen here and make this a little bit bigger. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to zoom in, not make the card bigger. so that you guys can see this better. So this is the standard card that it would come in with. And I'm just going to hit make it here for 1 second so that we can see how this looks on our cutting mat. Don't pay attention to the fact this is all messed up. It's kind of really small right now, and that's fine. And we're going to fix all this other stuff up in a minute. So we have our envelope, and this is a generic envelope. This one is typically free, not always though. I've had it show up that it's a paid item before. So now we're going to back to over here, maybe. Okay, so now if we go back to our project from a few weeks ago, way over here in my bin of fanciness, I've still got a few envelopes left, but we're not going to look at those. We'll deal with those later. But I have these cards that we made the other week. And I'm sorry, my desk is all of a sudden getting super busy, as per usual. But I'm going to pull out our fancy ruler because I can't remember sizes here. So I've got here 5 3/4 of an inch this way, and I've got 4 inches about this way. So when I come back to my Cricut here, I want to make a square. Where's my shapes? I'm going to make a square. And I'm going to change the dimensions on this guy. Get this out of here. I'm going to unlock this. I'm going to do width of 6. It was 5.35, so I'm going to do just a bit bigger. So I'm going to go 6, just so that I have a little bit of space. That should be the height. Just so that I have a little space to put the card in, because sometimes when you're folding things, and what did I say? 4 this way. So I'm going to go 4.25 on the other side. So this is going to be about the size of the card that we need. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here now. So this is about the size of the card that we need. We can make it a little bit less than 6, but remember, if we're going 5 3/4 on our length here, we don't want to get too close, just because you want to be able to fit the card in, right? It always has a little bit of chaos here. Now this dashed line is a score line. We're going to keep that for now, but I don't like to score with the paper that I use just because it likes to rip it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that this is unlocked here, my little lock for my dimensions on my envelope, and I'm going to stretch this. And I'm going to line up my card kind of here, and I'm going to stretch this like so. And that's the size that I would need roughly. Now I'm just going to take a look here at Make It and see how big this turns out. So if you look at my sheet here on this cutting mat, it's going to be just over 9 and just over 8. So I can use this perfectly on an 8.5 by 11, which is what I like to use. But if my card is bigger, I can always do it on a 12 by 12. And so we're going to cancel this for a second. And I just want to walk you through some things. If you want to do the score line, I don't like to, because I just use regular thin paper because I don't want to pay extra for heavy envelopes. I don't put the score line in, but if you want to, you can just select both items, not all 3, and then just attach them together like so, and then that will score it out. I'm not going to do that because I'm just, I don't like to do it. I just score it by hand. Now, if I'm lucky, I can actually get rid of that score line. We're going to delete you, and we're going to delete you. And I'm going to score this by hand just because I'm special. So I'm going to select Make It, and let's see if this will actually work for me, because my computer and my Cricut don't always like to work. So I might need to save this on my iPad and then switch to do it on my iPad. Sorry, folks, but this is technology at its finest. Oh, perfect. It connected today. We're in luck. All right, so just bear with me for 1 second. I got to make space on my work table now again. And we're just going to go to paper. And I'm going to get back to my screen here, face down. So now, hopefully you've got my screen here. What we're going to do, woo, things are falling all over the place. I'm just going to use a green cutting mat. And it doesn't matter what cut. I can use, like, you can use your green or your light blue. It doesn't matter. I'm just using my green. All of my mats are really, like, old and used and not super sticky. And I find that when working with just, like, this is regular printer paper that I'm using. It's thin. I find it's good for envelopes because if I'm mailing something, I don't need a thick envelope. So, sadly, in the world of crafting and not wanting to buy new supplies, I need my fancy green tape to tape down my paper. Now, it's not the end of the world if we take this down, but we just need to do a quick peek here on my Cricut. Where did it go? Let's go back here for a second. Cancel this. Yes, I want to cancel. I need to make sure I put my paper down the right way. So paper's going this way. And now my paper is going this way. I just want to show you. I find that my Cricut personally kind of about a 1/4 inch on each side doesn't cut. So I always put my paper down off of that a little bit more, just so that I don't waste the paper, because especially with the designs like this one that's almost at the edge of the paper size, I always like to pull it down a little bit. So I'm gonna put some tape down, hold this all in place. Now when I'm using thicker cardstock, I don't need as much tape, but this printer paper just likes to pull right off of my cutting mat, and it doesn't matter if it's like a super sticky one or not, but right now they're not super sticky and I'm too lazy to clean them. So I'm sorry, that is just part of my crafting life. I do not like to clean mats all the time. And so this is ready to go. So now we're gonna go, my Cricut's right here at the side. I just got it set to printer paper, and we're gonna go back to Cricut for a sec. And we're actually going to continue this now. And now it's not gonna find my Cricut, betcha. Okay, perfect, it's working. And we are going to cut this out. All right, so now while this is cutting, we're gonna change back to my face because we don't need to pay attention to that. I apologize for the noise, but if you have a Cricut, you know that they are loud. Oh, Ruth, hi, how are you? You hate adding the extra tape, but I have to do it as many mats are not super sticky. Yeah, I find that over time the mats just aren't sticky. And like I've bought new mats, and even like some of the new mats aren't super sticky after a while. Okay, so now this is cut out, and I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna pull this off now. Why are you buzzing at me? Just gonna turn my Cricut off and get an error message on my computer screen, but you don't have to worry about that. Now I'm gonna take this off. And today I think I need to put a new blade in my Cricut because it's not perfectly cutting through this. So I apologize for that, but we've got this here. We're gonna make a mess on my floor. It didn't cut through where my tape was holding through, so that's okay. We'll just grab my scissors. Didn't do heavy cardstock because then it pulls the paper right off, but you get the idea. If you're not as chaotic as me, this will all work out. I've taken that extra tape off. And so now, since I didn't do my score lines because my Cricut likes to rip this paper up when I do score lines, just pulling out my scoring pen and I'm going to make some lines. One line, and I'm just going from corner to corner and corner to corner, and then this little flap here and this little flap here. Now when I do this, like for myself, not when I'm showing you guys how to do it, I print off like 15 of these at once or 20 of these at once, and as I'm doing it I do one and I fold, and I'm kind of like a little machine when I'm doing this, but for you guys I'm just gonna do it slowly. So I've got my score lines now, and I'm simply going to fold them. Now if I made my lines straight, hopefully I did, this will all fold into a nice envelope. If I didn't, it'll still work because we put a little bit of extra space in the spot there. So now it's going to be a beautiful envelope, like just like this. Let me grab my glue, which is somewhere over here. All right, glue. I washed my tip the other day so that it wouldn't be like gross black, and I haven't used it since. So let's see if we can get this to work. And now, I know, crazy craft. We're going all out here, making envelopes. But I'm just going to do a little bead of glue like this, and then a little bead of glue like this. That one's too high. And I'm going to hold this down. Now, if you know me and you know that I use this glue, this dries pretty quickly, so I don't need to like wait too long. I'm gonna wait for a few seconds. And so that's that one right there. Now I'm gonna grab a card because obviously we have to make sure that this works. So same card that we just measured a few minutes ago at the beginning. And ta-da! It fits just like that. Now I'm going to just do another quick demonstration for you with a different size. So, because this size here that we did the other day, if you remember, if you watched the video, these papers are like, I bought these like little rectangles from the dollar store. This is basically a half of an 8.5 by 8.5 by 11. So you could have, like, if you had two 8.5 by 11s, if you had an 8.5 by 11, cut it in half and fold it, you could make 2 cards. It's the same size. How do I know? Because that's what I had to use the other day for this envelope. So this fits, right? But if you're like me and you have a box full of cards, because clearly I need a box full of cards, and you've made 1,000 different size cards, because that's what we do, and you have like a card that's like this. So this is a square, just to, you know, spice things up. Sorry, I have to put this other stuff away here, because if I don't, it's going to get chaotic on my workspace, and then we'll never get this project finished. So we have this card here, and this, what is this? This is a 5 by 5, basically. And this is from a different video that I did where I used like my 12 by 12 card pads, paper pads that you can buy like in bulk, and they're all like nice and matching and stuff. So that's where I got this paper from. But if we go back to Cricut here, let's go back to Cricut for a second. And if I turn it on again, yes, thank you. My machine's not on because you were being a pain. We're done here. So let's go back. No, I'm not satisfied. Okay, so now let's go back and undo this for a second and put our stuff back in here. So this here's this is a 5 by 5 here that we've got. So I'm gonna do 5 1/4 just to give me a little bit extra space, because like I said, even though the card is not, is 5, we want a little bit of space there, right? So now I gotta move this forwards because I can't see it now. Bring to front. And now we're going to do the same thing with this card here. Now this might not be the best example, but it might be a good example. So we're going to move this here and just a little bit there. Okay, so now I'm going to just show you here. If we were to make this envelope, you'll notice here now this goes all the way to the edge of our cutting mat. So I don't have 12 by 12 paper, I'm gonna say, just regular printer paper. So if I were to want to make a card, an envelope for this card here that I've got, this one here, then I'm going to need to actually use a 12 by 12 sheet of cardstock or paper or whatever I have. I don't like to cut envelopes and make them, so if I were to do this card for an envelope, then I would have to do a 12 by 12 piece of paper instead. Now I could cut it and make this like, I could make, you know, cut this sort of card here and make this a little bit different, but I don't like to do that with envelopes. If I can, I can make it one piece. That's what I like to do. Okay, so now we're back to here. So where did it go? We just had an envelope here, folks. What did I do with it? So, so somewhere here we have an envelope. Ruth, what do you got to say here? Let me just read this for a second. Use the A3 scribble pad for kids to add larger envelopes. Okay. Yeah, I tried to like, so this is why I like these little sort of smaller cards that I've made these ones here with the little pads here that I've got, like and I got them from the dollar store. Let me just see what I got more of them here because I've got, nope, that's not the ones. It's just these little papers that I got here. These ones are white, but I had other colored ones. And it's just like a sheet, right? Then you fold it in half. But this is the same as two 8.5 by 8.5 cut in half. 8.5 by 11 cut in half. So I like this size, and it's like a good size for cards, right? You don't need a card to be, you know, 7 by 5 or whatever, just to, you know, use up more space. I mean, it's nice to have bigger cards, but the small ones work perfectly as well. And I've sort of given up on scoring things with my scoring stylus on my Cricut just because it shreds a lot, and I find after if I'm doing a lot of scoring, it pops out of my machine, and I don't like that. So I just, if I can do the scoring by hand, I find it's a lot faster too, because then I can just do score, score, score and be done with it. Whereas if I'm using my Cricut, I find it takes a lot more time. So we have an envelope today, folks. This is Crafting Unscripted. If you have any questions, drop me a note now while we're still online live here, or you can drop me a note in the comments below. Some things I wanted to just say in the link below. I've listed the details for this video and for this video. And now we know how to make this. So I'm going to try next week to do this without the Cricut, because I know not all of my readers and followers use their Cricuts, and often I don't use it either. So I'm going to do a quick tutorial on how to make envelopes. It won't be as cute as this one. It'll be a little bit different, but obviously different's good too. Also in the description below, I have listed this is more for people who are trying to be creative and come up with like a creative plan. I have a link to a Creativepreneur 2025 planner. And the link is in the description, and it's basically just a link to get a planner to help you organize your creative times. And so if you want that, that's in there as well. And then I want to thank everybody so much for subscribing and everyone for joining live today. And we're going to make it a quick one today. So we're just over 20 minutes. So we're a little bit shy, so you get some lunchtime back. And I want to thank everyone for joining me, and we will talk again next week on Thursday. And don't forget, tomorrow, new video and new blog post at katherinelearnstuff.com. Happy crafting!